What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. I am Jordan, and as you can see, Ben is not here today, but we are back in my garage office. This is where the podcast all started, in case you saw the older episodes on that janky little mic stand right up there. But we just got back from a hunting trip with our friend George. He was one of our special guests. If you haven't heard his episode, it's absolutely amazing. But we decided to do something a little bit different this week. We wanted to share some of our favorite clips over the last 15 episodes. So we hope that you enjoy. Please like, share, subscribe, grab some sweet merch at gooddudegooddad.com. And thank you for supporting us. Be a good dude, be a good dad.
But we truly both believe in what this stands for. I know, like, from the outside looking in, it could be so quick to dismiss, oh, good dude, good dad.
Yeah.
But when there's heart and meaning and genuine reason and thought behind it, I think people will genuinely understand and kind of just be really stoked on something you created, just like I was.
Yeah, so it was kind of all birthed out of a weird place. If anyone had heard the original podcast that I did by myself, it all started out of me. I had a stroke and I almost died, and my son was really, really little. I mean, he's 3, but he was only a year and a half old. And I was thinking, I'm like, man, how do I instill my values, my beliefs, into my son if for whatever reason I didn't make it? And then from there, it kind of went into, I had found out that some men in my life didn't act like men, or the way that I was raised, believing that men should be raised. And basically it was kind of my way of, I don't feel like I'm the one to say set a standard, but I feel like it was grab a group of men, start figuring out a standard of what men should be held to, like the standard for being a good man and a good dad, or just being a good human, really is what it comes down to. And that's kind of where this came from.
So, yeah. For us and for me personally, I'll let Jordan touch on his, but my why is also I got 3 beautiful children at home. I have an amazing wife who, without her just constant support and encouragement, the just daily grind of being business owners, having her to be able to kind of be my rock and my platform when the times that I'm supposed to be that. Yeah. Having her be that, and constantly reminds me of, oh shoot, I'm not in this alone. There's so many other people going through it. I don't always have to have things figured out, but where can I go to talk about that? You have your close guy friends, right? But even in a lot of my close guy friends, not very many of them are in my current life state, right? One of my best friends from childhood, he's someone I can count on for anything, but he doesn't have kids, he doesn't have a wife. So I could talk to him, but he's not going to fully grasp what I'm going through. Right.
When we're in the kitchen after that morning hunt the next day, and Iggy, their new boy, who's funnier than, and then the bulldogs, and we're in there making breakfast, and me and Whit were talking about, and we're all in the kitchen, and we're eating breakfast. And I was telling her, I'm like, wait, I got emotional in that moment, to where I almost I teared up, I'm surrounded by these guys, and I see their love for their family. I got to see this side of, when I see Ben at work, we're doing work stuff, or I'm grabbing coffee, and we spent 3 days together. So when I go hunt, I go by myself. Most of the time, and it's for me to reflect and get away from the chaos. And my wife, at the beginning, she's like, how come you don't call me and check in? I'm like, it's my time. It's not that I don't love you, and it's not that I don't miss you guys. I want to be away, and I want that desire to just miss you and want to come home, right? But that's how I see things, and I got to see how you guys interact with your wife and your kids every day. From the moment we got to camp, and Ben's FaceTiming, and the kids are like, oh my God, this is awesome. And you with your wife, and then you guys wake up in the morning and we're drinking coffee and you're FaceTiming, and it's just I saw this thing, and how Whit was with Iggy, and we're all eating breakfast together, and I'm like, I got to do something, man. I've had struggles in my life and losing a child, and it's been difficult because of the fear of losing something again. And that stops me from wanting to be this person that I feel inside, that I know I love life. I love the people I'm surrounded by. I love creating, and that's what I do. But there's this part of me that is so afraid of losing something that I don't give it enough time to just be vulnerable and enjoy it. And it helped me a lot to see how you guys are with your families and your children and all that. And I feel I've been missing out on so much because I'm not letting that happen. So as much as it was like eye-opening for you to have that experience, just that and seeing that has opened me up to understanding I need to do more for my wife and child right now.
So
you
good.
know?
Yeah.
Like it's like where we think this person's there helping us through these things and showing us this gratitude and me wanting to take care of you guys and show you the best trip. That's just who I am as a person. It's not to like expect it, like I never have expectations for anybody. That's who I am. But you guys doing what you did, being what you represent as the good dude, good dad, and seeing how you are, that helped me see life completely different now. And it's changed a lot. Like I go to therapy every week, and it's something that I've been talking about, and it's something that I've shared with my wife and wanting to put in. I don't want to call it an effort because it is something that should just naturally happen.
Yeah.
As a husband and as a father, it's like, but that fear, that it's like that devil on your shoulder that's like, dude, you can't have a good life because your fucking life has been shit.
Yeah.
And you don't deserve,
Yeah.
to where I do deserve it.
do.
And I'm not going to let you win.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you every fucking day. If I got to wake up and fight you, I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to put in the effort every single day, you know?
That's what's cool about everyone's story.
Yeah.
Is you seeing Jordan and I do that, what we were doing is not, it's just who we are. That's how we are. But I've never dealt with the loss of one of my children. And Jordan hasn't. And I don't know, I'm just saying it out loud because I don't know what you've gone through. Like if I were to, dude, I'm about to cry just thinking about if I were to, like if I were to lose one of my kids, I don't know if I would be who I am.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. I would like to think my faith in God and the foundation I have set for myself through just years of like work and self development. I would like to be like, oh yeah, I would be me. I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
There's no freaking way. I love those kids. I would give my life for those kids any day of the week. So there's nothing, you're not wrong.
No, and it took me a long time to realize it's not me being selfish but even like the drive home, man, even that conversation for 6 hours. But dude, when your dad called, you know how freaking hard that was for me to sit there and listen to that. I fucking never had that, dude.
Yeah.
I never had a father to share in those fucking moments with, man. And sorry.
No, you're good. I mean,
It's just like I've missed out on so much shit because of my issues, and I'm just sick of it. I'm so sick of letting that win, you know?
Yeah.
I admire, like, it's not that I wish I had that. It's just beautiful to see. And it's not me being jealous of you, and it's not me, or like even you
just
talking about your dad and how you're like, dude, I'm driving up here next week and I'm going to be up here and come see my parent. Like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody. But then I have this child that I could give all that to, and I don't know how to do it because I've never had it, and I don't know what it's like. And I don't know what that experience is because it was never there for me.
Yeah.
I've had people in my life that definitely helped me in certain times, you know, but I don't know what that wake up every day and have that parent there, or have that role model, or just somebody you look up to your dad, dude. I can hear it in your voice. And it's like we're talking that one day, and it, you know, I'm not going to bring up what we're talking about, but just how much you just wanted to give back to your dad because you love him so much.
Yeah.
My friends like you and now, like, that is my family.
Yeah.
You know, like Alberto and those guys, like that I've created my own family. You know, that saying, it's like, yeah, you're born with the family you have, and it's amazing if that works out. But as somebody who doesn't have one, I get to make my own family, and that's what I've done my whole life, and surround myself with good people, good dude, good dads, you know?
Yeah.
And when I got to find out, like, when I saw you guys doing this thing with the good dudes, good dads, I'm like, yes, I think there needs to be that. I think there needs to be, there's people out there that have gone through so much stuff that need people like you guys. As much as you know, it's not a competition, but we could learn so much from each other.
100%.
And people take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, I got this and I got that and I'm better than, nah, man. You can learn so much from somebody who has nothing, and so much somebody that has everything. And if you take advantage of accepting that and learning from them, you could just live a happier life. It's not about who has what and how much money you have. It's what they're going to give you in return. And like this hunting trip, dude, I could do that every weekend with you guys.
Yeah.
You know?
It was life breathing.
Just an encounter with standing at the door of death and thinking I could just pull the plug and make everything better. That's when I came to faith and understood. I started to think through it, and I said, wow, I've never thought I would come to this point. What is going on? And then I was like, maybe life isn't about this or that or this, you know, money or you know, fame or the friendships and relationships or this and that. Maybe there's way more to it than all of it. And I was like, maybe God is real, and I've never considered that. So yeah, growing up, we did have a church attendance background, but not necessarily a, you know, we're really walking this thing out kind of background. So that's where I came to. And then I remember it was a very supernatural encounter, and I was in my room and I prayed for the first time. I said, wow, you know, God, if you're real, you know, you can hear me and you made everything, so you can see me right now. And I said, I just need help. And I was like, I need help. I don't know what else to do. And I remember saying, like, I'll wait, you know, like I'll wait for however long I got to wait, whatever's going on. And I remember it literally, there's no other way to explain it. I just remember it felt like my room started to fill up with this like invisible weight. And it literally felt like someone started to hug me, and I started weeping and bawling. Ooh. And it felt like joy. It felt like hope. It felt like, hey, Jimmy, guess what? It was like, I wasn't hearing these words, but it felt like, oh, this Jimmy, like things are going to be way better than you could have ever imagined now. You know.
Let me ask you. So when you had that encounter with God,
yes.
In your room that day when you were sitting there and praying, like, to me, this might sound like a silly question. For you, was it an instant shift, like everything instantly changed, or was it gradual? Because, and don't be afraid to answer that. So oftentimes I find that, like, when people talk about their faith and they talk about an encounter with God, immediately you presume, oh, it was an instant change. And for some people, yeah, it is, and some people, no, it's not. I was just kind of interested.
I love that question. Yeah, no, it was both. So it was instant change. It was instant, something shifted in me where I literally, I think it was the next couple of weeks, and I've heard other friends describe this happen to them too, but within the next couple of weeks, I remember driving out of my parents' neighborhood and seeing these flowers I always saw, like, and trees and bushes I always saw, but suddenly I literally just started to trip out on flowers and nature. And I was like, oh, these were made and created, and oh my gosh. And so something changed, something shifted, but I did have lots of habits, lots of addiction, lots of, almost just like mental habits of things that I grew up with. That all was now getting called. It was never called into question. That was just normal life. But
Right.
now, because I came to this kind of this awakening, it was like all that stuff now was being questioned. It was like, hey, this has got to go now. You know, are
Yeah.
you ready? And so it's like, whoa, you're right. So does that answer the
No,
question?
that was perfect.
Or, I mean, going off good dude, good dad, it's opened the door for me to be a better dad. I remember working, a 9 to 5 and waking up, leaving by 6:45, and my daughter would wake up at 7. I'm like, all right, well, kiss her goodbye. And then I'd get home by like 6 p.m. and then she'd go to bed at 6:30.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I'm a good dad
Yeah.
for 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And that kind of was the drive for going into our business full time, because I was like, you know what? I just want to be a better dad. I want to pour into my family. And that's really what inspired us to really grow our brand, grow our business, and do it full time so I could be a better dad. I mean, going off that, I think in teaching our kids, it's important sometimes to just do it for them. There are moments like that, like, hey,
Yeah.
dad stepped in as protector.
Yeah.
You don't need to know the finer details of what went on, but I'm here to protect you. That is my number one role, is to protect you, to provide for you, to raise you up to be a good person. But there's moments like that, like, I think it's the coolest thing as a dad when your kid is like, dad fixed it.
Yeah.
And your kids think the world of you. Like, I remember, I'm sure every son or daughter has said this to their parent at one point. Like, oh, my dad could do anything. My dad can fix anything. And there's times like that where something will go and let's say something breaks in the house. And my daughter has no issue with it. She's like, oh, dad will fix it. And I'm like, that's right.
That's what my 2-year-old Harper,
Yeah.
the youngest, that's
Yeah.
her new phrase. Anytime, because my kids break stuff constantly.
Oh, yeah.
But Caitlin just laughs constantly. She's like, now anything in the house that's like not right or broken, she just goes, okay, dad'll fix it.
That's
And
so
that's
cool.
just, and like, it is the law. Like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like, dad'll fix it.
Yeah. But I think that's such a, going off that question, I think that's our jobs, like, to fix things, to fix what is broken. I'm going to go down the Christian route because that's what I am. We live in a fallen world. That's what I believe, that things are broken and that we serve a God that fixes things. And if we're made in his image, we are also to be those who fix things. And I think no matter the moment it's in, like, repair it, whether it's relationships, whether it's, family issues, whether it's raising your child, like, we're going to fix the things that are broken. And so there are moments we have to fix ourselves as dads. And I think that's a huge one. We're daily not beating ourselves up like, oh man, I failed again, but learning from it. Like when you change your oil for the first time, you make a mistake, the filter goes on crooked and all the oil comes out. You're like, oh man, I messed up. You don't just give up. You go, okay, let's redo this. And I think that's kind of where I am as a dad, where it's like, okay, I don't want to judge myself too harshly because I've never done this before. I'm a new dad every day because every day I'm confronted with a new situation where my daughter asks a new question. And you don't want to be the dad that just, oh, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
like, no, they want to know the answer. Our kids are like, we hear it all the time, they're sponges, and it's so true. The stuff they pick up and they repeat.
Because, just seeing all the hate after, all the, like, everybody talking, all this noise, all this drama, and just everybody just saying so much. Like, I was just like, the whole world was against me. And then, man, I had like personal stuff happening too. Like, everything got really intense. Like, everything got really intense. And I know it's my job. Like, I know it's like stuff I've set up to put my life on that scale and to be a public eye. But, since it was such a big card, it was so historic. The promotion did believe in me so much. I just felt like I let so much down, and it was really hectic. It was really hard for me. Like, I was probably, like I said, that was the hardest loss I've ever had in my life. That was probably the lowest point I've been in my life in a long time. But yeah, man, it's intense. I go through everything like everybody else does. It's just, like I said, it's just the world can see what's going on. It's not just tight-knit in my family. Like, I'm not just affected by one thing. I'm affected by the public eye. Anybody can like go search my social media up, or fight fans can come talk crap to me. It's like open access. And as easy as it is to just like turn off turn off social media and disconnect, like it's still like a lot of heavy energy that goes on with it. And you put all this pressure on yourself because it's like, you know, to be that close to success, you know, and literally just like slip on an ice cube during the performance. It's like, wow, you know, it's crazy. But yeah, man, like when I first got to the UFC, and like especially after I started winning, like everybody was talking about my losses, you know, I would comment to everybody that was hating. I'd be like, yo, like what, like just trying to like portray that I'm this like good dude, you know. And I was just be like, sometimes it would work, sometimes they would just get even more heated. So most of the time, people just want to be replied to, and like I was just like, why am I giving all these people my energy? You know, why am I taking the risk or chance to put negative energy into them, or even try to put my good energy into their negative? You know, like why? And yeah, that's what helps me like just disconnect. You know, I just look at it like I look at the internet, I look at my phone, like the bad comments is like negative thoughts. Like, am I gonna address this negative like this thought in my head on this negative comment, or am I just gonna let it pass and just let it go?
More so on the I don't know if you've had these thoughts or feelings, but some of the stuff that we're trying to do on the podcast is to genuinely, you know, bring out true emotion in certain things. Because there's always this stigma that, you know, guys can't talk about stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
So with that, like when you first started, were there any type of internal fears that you were facing? Any type of, you know, are guys going to think I'm weird for wanting this? Like anything like that?
Well, you know what? You're so spot on, by the way. And I want to hit on a couple of things there. Is one, like there's just a stigma around guys hanging out.
Yeah.
And you know, like a mandate's like so weird, right? Like just like hitting up your buddy to like go grab lunch, right? Like it's always, usually it's like around like, you know, we got to go watch, like it's got to be like a game or a beer or a drink, right? But like you can't just like meet up with one of your guys and just like talk.
Yeah.
So that was one of it. But then two is there's just this stigma of dads hanging out with just their kids and not having their partner and them scheduling their own time with their kids.
Yeah.
And so I've had a lot of guys that end up going there, and it's because their wives have forced them to come through, you know? And I like, yeah, like, you know, my wife saw you on Instagram and she sent me here, and it's like, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I totally get it. I understand that you're breaking out of your comfort zone. I really appreciate you guys coming through, but as you see, like, there's a bunch of cool dudes here from all walks of life, different aged kids, you know, soon to be dads, new dads. I mean, I've had the first meetup. I had a dad that came through. He has 4 kids, all of them out of college.
Sheesh.
And he was like the man. He was just giving us all of this great advice and different things that he implemented into his children's, you know, life growing up, to be able to set them up for college and for, you know, life. And so there's definitely a stigma around getting the guys to come there. And so I think that was a big thing for me too, right? Like, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
You know, like how open am I going to, like, are we going to talk about things? Are we not going to talk about things? And as I've started doing it, and seeing more guys and having more conversations, you know, I kind of open it with me being vulnerable first.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we're, you know, Hudson's sick right now, you know, and so my wife's sick too. Hudson woke up at 2:30 last night. You know, I was with him and just battling him with it until 4:30, and then I woke up at 6. My wife had to go straight to work, and you know, and then I had to, you know, manage that and get him, you know, settled before I came here. So I can have those conversations, kind of open up the doors to those other guys, and they're like, oh man, like, yes, like the work-life balance, the late nights, the, you know, just figuring out, you know, maintaining the relationship with your partner. And so that's a big way for me to be able to get them to start opening up, because again, a lot of them come kind of lost and confused and not sure what to expect of it. But I really am trying to make a focus on that. And so I actually created a Discord channel for my group to be able to have those conversations. So, you know, we've got a bunch of different channels of, you know, meetup ideas, help and support, tips and tricks. Like, do you guys have like anything that you want to give away if, you know, your kid's grown out of a stroller or clothes or whatever? And so I open up a lot of dialogue there as well. And then lastly, you know, we're in the month of June. I didn't realize this, but it's Men's Mental Health Month.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day too.
And so never knew that.
Yeah.
But I opened it up to my community that we're offering a free 30-minute virtual therapy session for any of the dads that want to just have someone to talk to. Obviously, I'm not the therapist, so nobody knows who's signing up for it or whatever. There's a link on the Instagram page for it, but wanting to be able to give, again, those resources to these dads to, one, let them know that you don't need to bottle it up, but two, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your wife or your partner or your friends, that they at least have this avenue to be able to, open up that dialogue. I'm not sure how deep we can get here, but like
You can get deep.
So I'd been thinking about the idea again, saw it on social media, and it's like, man, that'd be really cool. I've got a couple of connections that I think they'd be open to it. And then I go into my office and get an email that one of the guys in the office had recently passed. And it was one of those, like, it can't be Ryan, right? And so I walked over to his desk and I like looked at the placard there. I was like, holy, oh my God, like that's crazy. And, there's rumors about what happened, but, I'm pretty confident that, I think that he took his life. Young guy, beautiful family, like successful in like, I see him every morning. We make coffee, first people in the office. Always good, always offering support and help. People in the office had lunch with him. No one had any idea, and that immediately called my the therapist and was like, "Yo, like, okay, we're talking about this. We're putting this into effect. I want to make sure that my community has access to be able to talk to somebody."
Yeah.
It's just crazy, and you just don't know. Everyone's going through something, but you don't. It's usually the people that you're that are quiet, that you just the last people that you would think of that are really going through it, right?
I think the biggest thing that I've had to deal with is understanding that like just because something's been done a certain way before doesn't mean it can't be done differently in the future. So that might be something that I failed at in the past, or that might be something that I've succeeded at in the past. But understanding that just because something was done a certain way doesn't mean that it couldn't be changed differently, and be able to let go and be like, I'm just going to see how this goes, or I'm going to give this a fresh shot. Again, for both reasons, like someone might have a crazy idea and you're like, no, I already got this. Like, I don't need your help. And then it's like, well, actually, no, like, let's see how it goes. Or like, oh, no, that doesn't work at all. And I know why. And then again, letting that happen. So, and not to have discernment of like, being able to like call out like maybe a clear, roadblock for someone trying to do something. But I think just being open to the fact that like things can be done and that they are changing, growing, and developing always. And if your business, you're not constantly doing those things, just like I actually look at it a lot like, being a dad, like I have a 7 and 4-year-old son. And like today with my 7-year-old, he was, my 4-year-old, so we're staying with my father-in-law right now, and Colin, who's 20, Brittany's little brother, he has got a zillion Legos that are fully built out and beautiful, right? Like all of the Star Wars. So like for my 4-year-old son, he's just like, this is like the Taj Mahal of Lego. Like I can get into everything. I can play with them. He like, and he has to put them back every day. But, like Jace is kind of like messed up a few of them, obviously being 4. Like you're not as good at Legos, but Trip is good at Legos. So like, we had to tell Jace like, hey, like you can't play with that one. Like, and he just like started breakdown crying. Like, he wanted so bad to like have like the whole, like, the entire Rebel fleet set up and like, and have it like attack the Death Star, whatever. It's amazing to see his imagination. But the 7-year-old was like, dude, why are you crying about that? And I'm like, hey man, he's crying about that because he's 4. And you know what? When you were this age, you cried about that stuff. And he's like, looking at me like, seriously? And so I have to remember that too. Like as a business owner, sometimes things that are like easy for me, like, oh, that's such like a no-brainer. Like, and why should I even like tell somebody about that? It's like, actually, like they might not remember that because they're like 1 year into their business. They might need me to like share like, hey, have you thought about this or something like that? And not just assuming that everything is like common knowledge. 3 cars I loved. My wife had a great car. We had a great house in Santa Margarita. We had an epic life. And like on paper epic life. Great, like small group Bible study, all these people. And I missed so many family dinners, but not like because I was out at the bar or doing something bad. I missed them by like 42 minutes. Like, oh, like someone just came in and like I had to catch up with that person, or like, oh, like I stayed and just, did this little thing. And then like, yeah, I left like 40 minutes late, but like what, but like I missed like
family dinner. Like, that's not okay. But like, I was like, like I'm working and this and that. And I just didn't take things super seriously. And then that was bleeding over into the business because I wasn't taking things that seriously surrounding like the home. Like, I wasn't scheduling as many date nights and all those things. But then also like, I was like hiring staff that I was like, oh, like, I don't need to like pour into that staff member that much. Or like, I might see like a yellow flag and just like ignore it. Cause I'm like, well, we've been fine up until this point. Like, this should be fine. And then, you know, I move to Middle Tennessee. I'm away from my business. I'm away from all of like my network and everyone that I'd ever known. Away from good coffee, which that's a whole different discussion for another time. I was having Ben like, please send me stuff. But then I was finding out that I was like, one, I had neglected. I was using like what I did as a way of avoiding like core work that I had to do with me and the Lord, like getting alone with the Lord. So when I moved out to like rural Tennessee, I was totally alone. I didn't know anybody. Nobody in the small town like had remote entrepreneur businesses. They all like worked at Nissan. You know what I mean? Like, and that was the whole town. So I had to like spend this time that I didn't want to do, but I had to sit alone with things and really like unpack a lot of that stuff. And then also I had to like go through a lot of issues with the business. Once I had left, a lot of these yellow flags had turned to red flags. And then I had issues that were coming up. And then I was like having to fly back a bunch of times and try to deal with it and like patch up these things that again, I had ignored for so long. And so like I was not being a good steward. And now I've like experienced the other side of that, which like being a good steward and trying to like really like be thankful every single day for all the things you have. Like my two youngest kids, Jason, Goldie, I've missed like so few even nap times and bedtimes and, you know, family dinner for sure. But like across the board, like things have leaped and bounded in my family's health since I've been a more present dad at the times I'm supposed to be. Like I definitely work still and I'm like out doing a lot and I still travel and do stuff, but like a lot more like dad is home when the family expects me to be home. And when I'm home, I'm there. And that's a huge, huge difference from 3 years ago.
The big crucial thing I wanted to share today, and frankly, you guys, like I'm gonna, you know, probably lose a lot of people on this when I contemplated whether or not I would even share this moment with people because, you know, some people will think that it's not true or they won't believe it. But I didn't grow up close to God. In a weird way, I always felt, you know, like I knew that there was something else going on. You know, there had to be an explanation for this, but I didn't know what it was, and you know, and never really took the time to kind of like seek those answers. But you know, probably, you know, much like other people that are in a situation like mine where they think, you know, their life could soon be over. You have a lot of conversations with God, you know, and so you know, I started praying a lot and trying to get to know Him, and you know, and anybody that would talk to me about the Lord, I would ask lots of questions, and you know, it was I was ultra interested, and so you guys, one night, while I was actually at home, backpack on, you know, sleeping on the couch. I had my IV pole, and one night, you guys, I woke up to the feeling of something sitting on my legs, and when I sat up, you know, the whole room was dark. All I could see was basically a silhouette sitting on my leg. And it didn't say anything to me. You know, it was pretty much like as soon as I saw it, it was gone. But, you know, and I believe in my heart that was an angel. And I believe, you know, it was an overwhelming experience. You know, I'm shaking as I tell you guys about it because it was the most impactful thing that had happened to me in my life, you know, up to the point of becoming a father. Because that message became very clear, even though nothing was said, I knew that I was going to be okay. And so, you know, I end up climbing myself off of the couch, you know, and limping into my mom's room and waking her up. And I physically couldn't even speak. I was just so overwhelmed with emotion. It was joy though, in the weirdest way. And, you know, my mom's like, what's wrong? You know, like I'm in a bad way. So she's like, do I need to call 911? She's, you know, and I just, you know, finally when I could get the words out, I just remember telling her on repeat, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. That's and I just knew it, you know, I just knew from that moment on I was going to be okay. And it's so crazy, you know, like fast forward to now, you know, they told me I'd likely never get to have kids. And and you know, somehow my wife and I made babies. I think that has more to do with her. She's very healthy, eats her leafy greens, and so you know, we made 2 perfect little baby girls. And yeah, and I'm living the life now that I never imagined. You know, I'm solely motivated by, you know, having time with my kids, you know, and so, you know, what you and I were kind of talking about, it's like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I know I need to be working. I know, you know, I know I need to be, you know, earning an income and making sure that my kids are okay. But I'm also, you know, playing that balance all the time of like, you know, I want that time with them. I don't want the regret of feeling like, you know, I was in the laptop all the time and yeah, you know, funny, like I shared with you guys also, I had a fair amount of insecurity coming here today, speaking on a podcast called Good Dad, you know, Good Dude, Good Dad, because I don't always feel like I'm a good dude or a good dad.
Yeah.
You know, and especially because, you know, I have a lot of guilt, and as I'm sure you do, or anybody else that's survived something, I have a lot of guilt sometimes, and I wonder, like, well, why did I get to survive?
I would actually use that as a springboard to share the gospel with the inmates, right? So there would be times where I'd have an opportunity, and I'm like, man, I'm going to go share with this person. We call them DISISO cells, right? Disciplinary isolation cells. So these were the bad of the bad, right? So they would be by themselves in probably a 5 foot by 5 foot cell, no windows. It had bars and then had a door, and just, you know, your toilet and your bed right next to it, right in a sink. So I'd go in there. I'd make it a point to like see, hey, do you need anything? Oh, cool. And let me get a Bible. All right, cool. And then just by them asking that, I would ask about their faith, like, hey, you know, what's your favorite book in the Bible? Or what do you do with the Bible? Do you read it? Oh, yeah. I've read the whole thing. Okay, cool. What's your understanding of what the Bible means? And usually they're like, oh, no, it's just, it's how to be a good person.
Yeah.
You know, which is really not, you know, it's literally God's way of showing like how much he loves us. Like from all the 66 books, it's the same message.
Yeah.
Right. That God did everything he could to redeem us, to save us, you know, that he wanted this relationship from the get-go, right, from the book of Genesis all the way to Revelation. So I would share with them, and that would be, I'd make it a point. Where it got really hairy is sharing that same message with my own coworkers.
Yeah, I could see that.
So the inmates, they would accept it and be like, hey, what else do I have to do, you know? And some of them I would pray with and whatnot. But then, you know, if I brought that same message, that gospel to my coworkers, oh my goodness, it was like World War III. It's like, get that out of here. You know, I don't need to hear that. That's for them, not for me. Right. And what I came to realize is it's that false sense of like goodness because of what they're doing, you know, and they wear this uniform, this badge, and, you know, they represent the goodness of man.
Yeah.
When in reality, like, we all have fallen short of the glory of God.
100%.
No one is good, no, not one, right? Book of Romans. And I came to realize, like, wow, there's this self-righteousness in what I do.
Dude.
Like any other dad, like, you know, you'll get impatient. I get impatient with my kids all the time. I feel so bad, right? And, you know, they get the full brunt of it. And self-righteously, I feel like, oh, I'm parenting the right way God wants me to. But then God says, you know, be slow to anger. Be patient, be kind, have self-control, right? These are all the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And to answer your question from before, like having that mirror, okay, am I being patient? Am I being kind with my kids? If I'm not, I'm not doing it correctly, right? To show the love, like to be a good dad, to be a good parent, a good mom, you're doing things for your kids for the benefit of them growing up. Okay. And what's that benefit? For them to learn how to make money? No. For them to be educated? No. Because how many successful people do we know, like, they still fail at life?
Yeah.
Because they have all these things, right? No, to put God first. That is my definition. If my kids can tell me later on when I'm like old and decrepit and like, you know, they're taking care of me, hey, Dad, the best thing you did for me is to develop my relationship with God and Jesus, then that's my definition of like, I'll take that, you know, over, you know, even if they're not successful in the world's eyes, if they have a relationship with God, I could care less, you know, because my number one goal as a father, as a husband, is to push my family towards Jesus, to have a relationship greater than how, you know, my relationship right now. So they can do things in life that will glorify him.
You know, but it was great starting off with Jordan. It was fun because, I mean, I remember going back to washing cars, you know, and it was like, I've already washed the whole side of the car, and here comes Jordan with soap and suds, and he falls out of the back of the cab and hits his head on the tire, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But it was like, I was like thinking, you know what, we can either embrace this thing and let him do his thing and participate, or we can be like, no, don't do this, don't do that. You know, just let him figure it out. And we kind of let him, I think, probably through most of his life, try to let him figure it out and try to, you know, overcome failure and things like that. And I mean, I realize that's kind of a big picture thing, but that was one of the things that, you know, I felt was important to him because it was an issue I had to deal with when I was in my 20s, is how do you deal with failure when you haven't had failure up to that point? So I want him to experiment. I want him to feel what's going on. I want him to do the best that he can, and we can tweak it and we can tune it and we can make it go from there. And I did this with both my kids, but Jordan was the first. So when he turned 18, I said, "Hey, let's go out and get some breakfast." And he's like, "Am I in trouble?" I'm like, "No, I just want to have breakfast with you." You know, and we sat down at the Pancake House, I think. And I'm like, I just want you to know that, you know, you're turning 18, and because this didn't happen with me. And I said, I want you to understand that, you know, we're moving into a different relationship right now. I said, you're an adult now, considered an adult. I mean, you can go out and die for your country. And so I go, you know, so you know, but you need to go. I mean, that's what you're capable of doing. You maybe at 21 there are things you can't do, but one of those things is you can go out, you can you can be a firefighter like you were working on, or do lots of different things. But the point is that, like I said, you know what? We need you to just go out and do your best. Do your very best. I mean, you know, you may not figure it all out the first time, but you will figure it out. If you want to come, and you know what? You're going to get a minimal amount of advice from us because we've trained you up the way you should go. We think we've done as good a job as we can as a dad. And so if you want advice, you know, come to me for advice. Otherwise, I'm going to just pretty much be quiet, be supportive, and let you work it out and see what happens. And I'm very proud to say he's accomplished a lot of stuff in that, from 18 to where he is right now at 33.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I remember your birthday. But that was a very important thing. I ended up doing the same thing with my daughter, but with my son, it was a big deal for me because it's like, you know, you're going to go out eventually. You're going to provide for a wife and a family, and you're gonna have to fill roles and do things. And we'll just see how well we've prepared you. Maybe we didn't do 100%, but you know, we did the best we could, and you worked it out. And I'm proud of you for the way you've handled it and stuff like that. I thought that was a very important thing to do. That's why I did it with our daughter too as well. But I thought it was particularly important to him because when I took off to go be in the Air Force at 18, I didn't get the same. I mean, you know, just a different lifestyle. Yeah. I mean, a different age and different parenting. But it was like I wanted him to know that it's like, you know, you're on your own now. Stick to it. Do the things that you've learned. You stick to it. You persevere. You excel. You do you show compassion, and you do the things that you need to do to represent what your Savior's done for you, as well as what you need to contribute to humanity as a person.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that special clip episode from the first 15 podcasts that we've done. We have many, many more planned. We're super excited. We're so excited where this is going. We're hoping that we're creating impact. We're hoping that we're starting conversations. Please send this to someone that you think would enjoy it or that could use it. That would be awesome. Also, comment below anyone you'd like to see or any topics you'd like us to cover. You can shoot us a DM, any of that kind of stuff. You can pick up some merch at gooddudegooddad.com. You can find us on Instagram at gooddudegooddad. But just thank you again for your support and your kindness, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, be a good dude, be a good dad.